Hello everyone. Sorry about the late start there. I've just been messing around with a few settings. um, See, I have compiled about 453 images that I would like to play in the background here. But it doesn't appear to want to play them all. I seem to only get 103 at a time, which is just upsetting because I put a lot of time and effort into those. I'm just trying to find some workaround that I can do right now so it keeps it fresh and interesting. Um, yeah, but this is only an issue I'm becoming aware of after obviously playing around a little bit. So let me just remove that file I randomly made there. There we go. Back to normal. So these 103 images I'll have to just do for now, and maybe I can make some. I'll have to put them into separate folders maybe and spread them out so we can keep it fresh. I can keep switching between. But how's everyone doing? Hope we're going in the chat. We've got a few people here. I have it set to top chat, so I'm missing all of the messages. I'm going to switch that to live chat, which I hope all of you guys are doing too, so I can see everyone's messages here. So Chris is there. Thanks for being here. What's he saying? He's saying, can't wait to see what you've scoured from this person that inspired many musicians of England. Yeah, this guy's a scumbag. We're gonna have some fun today, just picking apart his artwork. It's awful. He wasn't very good, and we're gonna have a fun time just going through some of his crappy creations. LVK, it just keeps getting weirder. It certainly does. Michael Evans' amazing title. Yeah, yeah. I'm glad you enjoyed that one. Kevin, thanks for being here. Zelodius, thanks for being here. Hi, Wendy. Um, Kanga Kong, brilliant. Thanks for being here. No sound on my end. Well, you should be fine now. Hit the like button, says Stu Bedazzle. Yes. Make sure to like this video, everyone. Hey, everyone. We've got Winds of Change, all the usual faces. E. Joyce, Artworks, thanks for being here. Any progress on that bird painting you were working on, if you want to send that across? Sound is there. Hi to everyone. Says Why Dino. Thanks for being here as usual. Winds of Change says that well, thanks for asking. Brilliant. Right, good stuff, guys. Yes, as people are rolling in, I'm just gonna randomly talk into the wind. We'll set this up, just get all this stuff out of my way. Who knows? Maybe I'll share the webcam. There we go. How are we all doing? Yeah. So it's been an interesting week. I have been busy trying to potty train a toddler, which is an absolute nightmare. I don't know if you ever tried to do that before, but it's something else. Okay, so I'm basically living in urine, and it's just everywhere and on everything all the time, and I'm just trying my best to just keep my sanity. Um, and obviously, as confusing as it is for him as well, I think he's having a bit of a hard time to adapt to the change. So that's been fun to deal with. In between trying to talking about wife's there. Hello from the banished wife. Yeah, yeah, that's it. I've kicked her out. The living room's mine for the evening. I've got a. Oh look, I've got my seagull with a chippy in its mouth here. One at the seaside at a fair from a claw machine. So this is gonna be my little mascot today. I'll have him here looking over my shoulder. Ah, there we go. You can get a nice view of everything from up there. Lovely. But yeah, other than that, interesting. I've managed to book 2 extra podcasts as well, which is quite fun. Um, So I've got the Tinfoil Hat podcast with Sam Tripoli at the end of the month, and I also have one with By the Fruits. The podcast is called, which is should be quite good. And two people, part of a group called Conspiracy Pilled, have reached out to me to arrange a talk. I'm just awaiting to hear back from them, but they've reached out to me as well and offered to do an interview. So that should be quite fun and interesting as well if I can make that happen. I've been in communication with Vicky Joy Anderson. We're going to try and get something done in September. She's away currently on business, and that's the only time she'll have free, which is fair enough. I've got Gary Wayne on in October. I preliminarily have him booked in for the 11th of October. So I should be able to get him on the show, have a good chat with him, and share some ideas, talk about his new book. So that's something to look forward to as well. So yeah, busy booking things, and hopefully we'll have many more to come. In the past month, the past 28 days, I've gained 500 extra subscribers, which is quite quite good. That's a big boost for the channel. It seems to be growing quite steadily. I've had two videos demonetized. Sorry, three now. One of them I cannot get monetized again. Apparently, the manual review said it's still unsuitable. It's the one about the cannibals of Papua New Guinea. Apparently, that's just too much for YouTube. Yet they'll still run ads on it, no doubt, and profit off it nonetheless. But yeah, I lost that battle. And then my last two live streams, the GOG Magog one, was instantly demonetized after we finished. I got that manually reviewed. 12 hours later, it was monetized again, so there was no reason for that one to be demonetized to begin with. And then my Ravens Watch podcast, which if you haven't seen, I was on a podcast by someone who goes by the name Ravens Watch. I um, showed it on my channel as we were doing it live, and immediately that was demonetized as soon as we'd finished. So again, I don't know why, because after a manual review, 12 hours later, after all the views had come in and all the money could be made, gone. The ban's lifted. Suddenly it's monetizable again. So something dodgy is going on. I don't know what it is. People are telling me my channel might be flagged or something, but I don't know. I don't know. Maybe someone out there just really doesn't like what I do and has been accusing me of all sorts of heinous things to just make the algorithm think I'm not worthy of monetization instantaneously. But we'll see. We'll see what this one does as well once we've finished, because I have the feeling I might end up with the same situation. But it's odd. It's just odd behaviour. I actually complained to YouTube and had a conversation with Sally. Her name was supposedly not an AI robot, but I'm not so sure with some of the responses I got. And I basically told her to explain to me why they were demonetized, and I got the biggest nothing answers ever, and just nothing, just sending me PDF files on the rules and all this sort of stuff. But they couldn't give me any information as to why it failed a manual review. Um, no idea. Apparently, they're not privy to that kind of information. And also they're not allowed to tell me if somebody complains. Apparently, so I don't know what's going. I'm just as in the dark about it as anybody else. But yeah, that's been a fun battle that I've got myself embroiled in. I have the full transcript actually. It's funny, just some of the responses I got were just hilarious, and I might go through with it you guys someday when I can be bothered revisiting that stressful hour of my life, talking, hitting my head against the wall and just screaming into the void at this person who just does not understand at all what's going on. But yeah, there we go. So that's a bit of news to you guys about the podcast and some of the things I've been dealing with. Let's have a look in the chat here, see who we've got. So I'm just going to check the numbers, see how many people we've got rolled in before I start this little presentation. Looks like I've got a couple of notifications on Patreon there. Just a couple of updates. Excellent. So let's check the live stream here. What have we got? Oh, good. We've got 23 people in now, I think. Something like that. That's good. 28 people. Yeah, not bad. Not a bad number. Hope you're all doing well. I hope you're looking forward to hearing my random musings. I hope you all liked the recent video as well, the music one, the one about the gorillas and the debut album song, Clint Eastwood. It's not very often I do a music breakdown video these days. I did one on Inaco not so long ago, which was in a very similar fashion and vein to this one. I'm thinking I might do a music or a song breakdown more often. Um, well, maybe not that often. Maybe like once every 2 months or 3 months, like I have been doing. Just to dip my toe back into that realm every now and then, and share my thoughts and feelings. Because it is getting a little bit too obvious right now. Just how messed up some of these songs really were and still are. The modern music industry is just an absolute shambles. I I cannot stand it. It makes me want to vomit half the time. All the stuff that they're singing about now and presenting in the music videos to go with them, it's just way over the top satanic nonsense. Um, what have we got going on here in the chat? So I've done it 3 times. My son was easier than the girls. We just put Cheerios in the toilet and it became target practice. That's funny. Yeah. The painting is going along nicely. Thanks for asking. Just posted my first short today. Oh, brilliant. Well, I'm glad to hear that's going well for you there. Um, Our kid is so wild. He would eat the Cheerio after target practice. He would, yeah. My child is. There's no rhyme or reason to his behaviour. He is a wild one. That's for sure. Uh, Fanna Knox, Mark paywalled your interview for some reason. Oh really? Oh, the one on My Family Thinks I'm Crazy podcast. Well, maybe it's doing so well. Seen an opportunity to make some money from it. If people want to see it, they've got to pay. Wait, fair enough. No, that's his business, not mine. Um, I don't need to listen back to myself say the same things over and over again personally. And if anyone wants to get the information for free, it's always there on my channel, so that's fine. It's his prerogative what he wants to do with that. But thanks for pointing that out to me, Fananox. Sounds like a lot of great content coming up. Keep up the great work, says Ryan Bird. Yeah, hopefully. I'm trying to keep it as consistent as I can for you guys. I tried the whole one video every day thing at the start of last month, and I very quickly exasperated myself. I'm not gonna lie, it's hard to do. I've been skipping the odd day here and there right now, and I'm slowing it and easing it down a little bit. I do have a list of things to talk about still that keeps growing daily, so it's a struggle to know what to talk about and what to choose. But these collaborations are a lot of fun. I do enjoy doing these things, so I'm going to try and do a lot more of them, to be honest. Um, what else have we got here? God forbid we should say that cannibalism is evil. I know, right? Honestly, I don't know. I don't know why they've done it. I don't know what the issue is. My theory is somebody who saw me, a pasty white boy from England, talking about these indigenous tribes of Papua New Guinea. I assume they accuse me of some kind of ism. Yeah, no, I don't have a right to make commentary on their culture because of who I am or something like that. But like you said, call a spade a spade. It is what it is. Entwine the Design, interesting name, says, "Wow, I finally caught alive. Good for you. I'm glad you're here." My wife says, "Meanwhile, YouTube monetizes my channel and doesn't give me any money." Yeah, yeah. My wife, if you guys didn't know, she was a YouTuber around the same time, if not longer than I was. She had a channel with about just shy of 11,000 subscribers. And she made a lot of DIY content, just a lot of videos about a lot of things, bullet journaling as well. And she took a break for about a year or two, obviously meeting me, getting a job, having a child, all that sort of stuff. Life got in the way. But when I quit my job and started up my channel again, she went back to start hers up, and she'd been demonetized because apparently she hadn't been getting enough views in that time to keep up the monetization. So she's been working to try and get there again, but her videos just aren't getting the views they used to anymore. It's a different game. It's a different culture. It's not like we have obviously in the conspiracy world like a regular viewer base type of thing, but people in that DIY sector quickly forget and move on, and it's not like there's a loyalty of any kind, so it's difficult to re-establish yourself and come back once you take a break. But the thing is, even though she's been demonetized, they are putting so many ads on her videos, it's unbelievable. Like, we watch them on our TV because there's footage of there of like family holidays and things like that, which our son likes to watch. So we're watching them signed out of YouTube, so it's as though we're nobody, we're just any man. And when we're watching them, it's just advert after advert, unskippable 30-second ads all over these videos. And my and it's just not fair because my wife isn't making any profit from that whatsoever. But YouTube clearly is. So she had her own moment where she was ranting and raving to YouTube support team, trying to see how they can justify doing this, and they give you that nothing answer where it's like, oh, that's we understand that you're frustrated by this, and we understand that it's hard to see that these things are happening. That's a good looking question, but and a good looking question deserves a good looking answer, we understand. They don't say anything and they just like beat around the bush constantly, and it's the most frustrating customer service that I have ever experienced, and my wife has had the misfortune to experience as well. They even have mid-roll ads on them, she says. Yeah, yeah, it is a shame. It is a shame. But if you guys want to go and support my wife's YouTube channel, you can. You can click on her name right here, right now. In fact, in the chat at Keely Marie, and go and show some support. Who knows? Maybe we can get it monetized once more. Not that you make much money, but it's just the principle. It's the principle that counts. Yeah. um, what have we got here? What have we got? Uh, Kanga Kong, my dog's doing so much better. That's great. Um, Sorry, guys, I'm just trying to catch up with the chat. It does this thing where it jumps for me, and I've got to keep scrolling back. Drunk Wedding Photographer, good to see you. I'm sure it's someone who's reporting you. Yeah, it feels like it. It feels like it. Um, James Carter, thanks for being here. Howdy from Insane Diego. That's San Diego, okay. um, Music is very much used as an instrument for the devil. After all, it is indeed. It seems that way today. Anyway, I was in the car today and I did a rant video about the state of the music industry, which I'm going to upload tomorrow probably, just as a fun random rumination, nothing serious, you know. But I'm probably also going to go off on one later in this video because I know what I'm like. Um, the algo doesn't understand sarcasm yet. That's a good way to get around certain topics. Yeah, that is a good way. I'll use that one. Just a shame I won't get to see it. I wanted to compare to his other interviews. Sorry, Fana. Yeah, to be honest, it wasn't behind a paywall for a long time. It's not been behind a paywall for a good. It's been like a month since I did that talk now, maybe roughly, maybe a bit longer. So it's a strange turn of events, a strange move. But maybe it's popular. It's just really popular. Maybe it's flying off, and he just took an opportunity. But to be honest, the stuff we talked about in there is no different than what I talked about with the Sabbath at Midnight podcast, which you can go and see. It's no different than the things I'm going to be discussing on the podcasts that are coming up soon as well. Similar to what I discussed with the Ravens Watch, which are all available for you to go and see. But yeah, I understand it can be frustrating when people do that. Paul, I still want to see your thoughts on the band Gwar and their looks. Never heard of them. Let me have a look now. I'll do it right now for you. Gwar. Gwar. Band. Oh, wow. First glance, yeah, that does look pretty awful. Let's have a look what's going on here. Is this a real band? Or is this... No. No. How can you play instruments wearing that? This can't be real. Surely. Surely this can't be real. I'm gonna have to share the screen with you guys to show you this. Like, no, this has got to be some kind of satire, right? In some way, there's no way people are playing instruments while dressed like this. Um, okay, let me just share the screen here. Screen share. Look at these. This is a band called Gua. I know nothing about them. This is my first impression, but you can see they're wearing insane, over the top human animal hybrid skull outfits with cloven hooves and horns and demonic faces and whatever the hell that is on his crotch there. And what extra eyes, metallic jaws, rotting flesh. This is cheesy as hell. I don't know what this is. Who are these guys then? Who are these supposed to be? Let's have a look. I'm guessing they're foreign in some way. Are they American? I don't know. Let's go to all. American heavy metal band formed in Richmond, Virginia in 1984. Um, right. Frequently rotating lineup of musicians and filmmakers. All right. And they're known as the Slave Pit Incorporated. Interesting. Well, yeah, they look like just another overtly on the nose satanic band, don't they? I assume they have some kind of cyber mystic punk thing going on with it, and I assume they also pass it off as a form of satire, in a way, which Satanists often just love to do. Oh, it's all just a big joke, we're not really Satanists. Yeah, it's all satire, it's not serious. They love doing that one. But yeah, thanks for sharing that, and that's my opinion and reaction to those guys. Absolutely insane. Um, what a mess. Uh, right, I think I've caught up with the chat. They're kind of a parody of metal. That's what I'm thinking. Yeah, they seem like satire to me, parody in some way. Um, Hard rock hallelujah songs. Amen Hotep, thanks for being here. Yeah, the names are quite something too. All right. No, I've never heard of Guar before. Now, maybe it's Maybe it's more an American thing than a British thing, but it's not something I've ever. I lived in Virginia. My wife did live in Virginia. That's true in Richmond, so she probably has heard of Guar before. Drunk wedding photographer. Talking to my wife. I love your family outing videos. Inspired me to do the same one day. Yeah, they're really fun videos. Yeah, it's just documenting our life basically, which is excellent to have memories to look back on. Our days out to zoos and parks and family holidays and all sorts of things. Right, lovely. Right, so I've got a decent number of people in here, and I've got a little presentation for you guys today, as per usual. Today we're going to be talking about. If I can. Yeah, today we're going to be talking about Alistair Crowley, and he's an absolute scumbag. If you've never heard of Alistair Crowley before, honestly, he is like just. How'd you describe this guy? Um, you know him, you can tell who he is and what he's like by his followers. I can say that. I've met a few in the art industry, let's say, as a student of people who loved his work and tried to mimic what he did, and they weren't very savory people themselves, to be honest. I did a video years ago when I first started the channel called "A Conversation with a Satanist." It might even still be on there. And I'm talking to one of these Crowley followers. Okay, he's obsessed with Aleister Crowley. Um, and he makes all his artwork based on Crowley's worldview and all that type of thing. And he was just a mess. He was a drug-addled lunatic, honestly, and slurred his speech, could barely string a sentence together, wasn't very intelligent. His artwork was awful, just terrible. And he believed he was like in communion with demons and all sorts of things, but he also believed it was a good thing, and God is evil and all the typical stuff that comes with it. And that's how I kind of first got clued into Aleister Crowley myself and who this guy was. And when you just look into him, you basically find out that he's like this 19th century, early 20th century cult leader, basically. Started his own religion called the Thelema system, and started his own church called the AA in Italy, or was it Sicily? I can't remember. And he's just basically a Satanist through and through who created his own religion based around sex magic and the occult. But he always would claim, I'm not a Satanist. They always do that, they blatantly, openly worship Satan and then claim they're actually atheists and they're just it's just satire, like I said earlier. And he was no different. So if we just do basically just do a cursory search of some of the stuff here I found about him, then we're going to look at his artwork, which is not something he was really ever known for. His artwork was not really the focal point for many people at all. A lot of people don't even know he made artwork. People focused more on his books and sometimes his poetry, but even that was god awful. And we'll look into that again in a minute. And that's just terrible, just terrible. This guy was not talented in any way, shape, or form. I don't think he was very intelligent either, to be honest. Yet for some reason, he seems to have influenced the modern mainstream art industry and music industry to such a high degree that it begs the question of why did this talentless perverted weirdo have such an impact on the modern mainstream music industry? Why do these musicians care about what this lunatic said and did? It's just baffles me. And it's probably because the people who run the industry are just as perverted and weird and sick and pathetic and stupid as this idiot was. So let's go into looking at his work and what he is and what he did. So if I share my screen here, I have some tabs we can just reel through. Let's just do the basic Wikipedia breakdown first. So Alistair Crowley, born in the 12th of October 1875. He died 1st of December in 1947. He was an English occultist, philosopher, ceremonial magician, poet, painter, novelist, and mountaineer. He founded the religion of Thelema, identifying himself as the prophet entrusted with guiding humanity into the Aeon of Horus in the early 20th century. He was a prolific writer. He published widely over the course of his life. He was born to a wealthy family in Royal Leamington Spa, Warwickshire. Crowley rejected his parents' fundamental Christian Plymouth Brethren faith to pursue an interest in Western esotericism. He is educated at Trinity College at the University of Cambridge, where he focused his attentions on mountaineering and poetry, resulting in several publications. Some biographers allege that here he was recruited into the British Intelligence Agency, further suggesting that he remained a spy throughout his life. In 1898, he joined the esoteric Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn, where he was trained in ceremonial magic by Samuel Liddell MacGregor Mathers and Alan Bennett. He went mountaineering in Mexico with Oscar Eckenstein before studying Hindu and Buddhist practices in India. In 1904, he married Rose Edith Kelly, and they honeymooned in Cairo, Egypt, where Crowley claimed to have been in contact with a supernatural entity named Ewas, who provided him with the Book of the Law, a sacred text that served as the basis for Thelema, announcing the start of the Aeon of Horus. The book declared that its followers should do what thou wilt and seek to align themselves with their true will through the practice of magic. So Ewas, if you guys haven't already heard of this guy, it is a grey alien looking thing, and there's got to be a, oh come on, you'd think the Wikipedia bloody page would show it. Let's see what I can do. Ewas, I think people even pronounce it like this. Ewas Crowley drawing. Ewas Crowley drawing, come on, bring it up, bring it up. I couldn't get rid of the bloody picture earlier. Now I can't find the damn thing. There it is. So this is what he claimed came to him randomly in Cairo in Egypt and dictated to him the Book of the Law, which is a do what thou wilt, New Age, Gnostic type thing, which basically we'll go into what that religion was in a minute, but it wasn't anything good, trust me. And it looks just like something similar to a grey alien, but without the big bulging eyes. The interesting thing is, this seems like a Nephilim serpentine type being with elongated, sharp features and a huge skull to me. This is obviously a demon that came to him and dictated to him a demonic doctrine. And this useful idiot, which is what he is, he's not a very intelligent person. He was an absolute moron, okay? Not a smart guy. Okay, very low intelligent person here. I don't care what anyone says. He was not a clever person, from what I've gathered. All right, he was quite possibly mentally disabled, and he went with it and rolled with it and thought himself a god at the end. You know, because of all this stupid ideology dictated to him by this demon who basically preyed on the weak-minded. Anyway, let's go back to the life and times of this weirdo loser and carry on reading about him. So after the successful 1905 Kanchenjunga expedition and a visit to India and China, Crowley returned to Britain where he attracted attention as a prolific author of poetry, novels, and occult literature. In 1907, he and George Cecil Jones co-founded an esoteric order, the AA, through which they propagated Thelema. After spending some time in Algeria in 1912, he was initiated into another esoteric order, the German-based Ordo Templi Orientis, rising to become the leader of its British branch, which he reformulated in accordance with his Thelemite beliefs. Through OTO, Thelemite groups were established in Britain, Austria, and North America. Crowley spent the First World War in the United States, where he took up painting and campaigned for the German war effort against Britain. later revealing that he had infiltrated the pro-German movement to assist the British intelligence service. So in 1920 he established the Abbey of Thelema, a religious commune in Cefalù, Sicily, where he lived with various followers. His libertine lifestyle led to denunciation in the British press, and the Italian government evicted him in 1923. He divided the following 2 decades between France, Germany, and England, and continued to promote Thelema until his death. He gained widespread notoriety during his lifetime, being a drug user, bisexual, and individualist social critic. Crowley has remained a highly influential figure of Western esotericism and the counterculture of the 1960s, and continues to be considered a prophet in Thelema. He is the subject of various biographies and academic studies. Okay, so that was an extremely generous description of who this man was. Okay, this initial paragraph frames him in a very good light. All right, the type of thing this person was, the type of stuff this guy was into, and what he talks about and does not warrant such a gleaming first pass description. Okay, that is not right. This guy was sick to the core. Okay, and his religion, this Thelema, is it could not get any more satanic. It really couldn't. Okay, and the fact that he's had influence on pop culture for so long should tell you a lot once you understand what his work is about the state of counterculture and pop culture in the West. Okay, he's not a social critic or an individualist. He's just a through and through satanic mess. Okay, but that's Wikipedia for you, I suppose. So anyway, scrolling down here, in the United States, so forth. So here he did a painting when he was in the United States. Oh, there's a drawing of Lamb and Ewas again, of course. His spirit guide, shall we call it? But here's a painting called May Morn. It's one of Crowley's paintings from his time in the US. He explained it like this. The painting represents the dawning of the day following a witch's celebration, as described in Faust. The witch is hanged, and she deserves. And the satyr looks out from behind a tree. So, whatever, he says that, but look at this thing. This is supposed to be a witch that's been hung with another witch kind of dancing in the background, naked, with some weird guy playing a pan flute, and this satyr smiling monster thing poking itself out from behind a tree with a mushroom that looks like an enormous shaft right in front of him. So, that being said, this is my first thing I saw where I thought, what? Wait a minute. Why has he drawn this quote unquote witch, if that's what it's supposed to be, as an incredibly white, pale skinned thing with bright red clown hair? I think there's something more going on here. Okay, immediately I saw this and thought, yeah, that's incredibly suspect. Is this the death of a Nephilim entity that we're seeing here? Is that what this truly is? And obviously, a pan or a fawn entity at the side here is a human animal hybrid, and these would have been the creatures that created these human animal hybrids, these Nephilim creatures, and he's calling it a witch instead. Yeah, why lean towards a clown aesthetic? Why make that choice? So this is supposed to be somebody who communes with spirits regularly, as though ancestor spirit worship does. He sees this realms, he takes a lot of drugs, he experiments with all this, and he's in communion with these entities. It's bizarre that his image to describe them is like a clown. And we're going to see a lot of this theme throughout a lot of his artwork as we continue to look into this stuff. So anyway, let's go a bit further down. Sack it. We'll leave the Wikipedia page. We don't need to go more into that right now. So let's look at some of these people who write these little things about him, okay? And he gets his worshippers, and most websites write about him as though he was some prolific, amazing individual who was groundbreaking in what he did. And I'm just not seeing it. So let's look at this website. When Art Met Magic, Alistair Crowley. The British-born occultist, ceremonial magician, poet and painter Alistair Crowley has never been as well known for his artistic pursuits as for more esoteric interests, for which he was dubbed the wickedest man in the world by the British tabloids. Based on diaries, photographs and catalogues, it is believed that Crowley produced some 300 works of art, only a fraction of which have survived. While he was alive, only one major exhibition of his art was presented, in 1931 in Berlin. It featured 73 works. Over the past decade, several exhibitions of Crowley's art have taken place in Paris, London, and Venice, and in Australia. Together, they have promoted some serious reprisal of his art. So I'm looking at this here, some naked woman down here, tarted up like a clown. With, I don't know what that is, a human bird hybrid man cloak wearing thing, surrounded by jade and gold pagodas, um, made of coral and jade pagodas, going up hills. So shaft-shaped buildings with a weird, horrible sunset in the background and some naked woman. Yeah, I'm just not seeing it. I don't care. This isn't groundbreaking or interesting at all. And this is just the insane splotches of a madman, as far as I'm concerned, and not a very talented one. It looks like something I don't know, a 16-year-old doing their GCSE final exam would paint. That's probably the best I could say. Um, and these people are going to start to talk about this as though it's something interesting. Crowley's significance as an artist lies in his reconsideration of art as a central component in his magical theory of the universe, and in particular, its ability to awaken, as he puts it, our secret self, our subconscious ego, whose magical image is our individuality, expressed in mental and bodily form. Yeah, that's the typical bullshit art description I find in most modern art industry descriptions of crap. It's word salad nonsense to describe a piece of shit artwork, basically. And you see a lot of that in the modern art industry. Brought up in England's West Midlands region, where he's a well-to-do family followed by Plymouth Brethren, Crowley's first understanding was that painting was a form of moralist decoration. And despite his mother and aunt having been painters, he was left feeling, as he wrote in his diary, ignorant of the existence of anything of the sort beyond Landseer's dignity and impudence. Sir Henry Landseer was a 19th century painter known for his pictures of animals and his sculptures of lions in London's Trafalgar Square. In 1898, while studying at Cambridge, Crowley met a graduate called Gerald Kelly, who shared his interests in magic and writing and would influence his development. For Crowley, art was not about replicating observed subjects, but about expression. Oh, well, that's convenient, isn't it? I don't have to paint well, it's all about my own personal self-expression. He noted, one should not paint nature at all. One should paint the will. Ooh, deep. That's so deep. Wow. Raw. Whatever. Anyway, let's look at some of his crappy artwork. Honestly, it's just god awful. Look at these. Got a little self-portrait here. If it wants to load. No, sack it. We're not going to do it like that. We're just going to do it like this. So you can see this one here. Look at this. This thing. So this is him with 666 around his neck. It's basically the first edgelord. You know, like atheists think they're so edgy, super edgy, saying things like "Hail Satan." You know, this is what this guy is. He's just the first edgelord. So he believed when he painted people, he was painting their true spiritual self. You know what I mean? He wasn't painting them as they actually looked. He was exaggerating features to paint the spirit within, basically, or what their true spiritual nature is. And this is how he saw himself. An angular, sharp-featured, weird, angular-eyed, serpentine-looking, bold, large-headed monster with a is that a penis tattoo on his forehead? Yeah, I think it is. What's so great about this guy? This guy's clearly an absolute lunatic pervert weirdo. Here he is with one of his first wives, I think, and she looked nothing like this, but he's painted her as a red-headed, pale-skinned, big, bug-eyed, wide-grinned clown monster thing with a serpent wrapped around her head, and he's looming in the background here with a huge, bulbous Nephilim skull monster thing like the Iwas we mentioned earlier. with these bright pink lips again, like a clown. Look, she's even got a flower on her lapel, like, the clown flower that squirts water. Why angle towards clown? Here's the clown witch I mentioned earlier again. A pale skin, white skinned monster with sharp teeth and the tongue sticking out, wearing a clown wig. Uh, Here's a tarot card representation of something of the moon. It looks awful. It looks like his paintbrush was too big or something. I don't know what's going on, but it's not a good painting. The lights are all wrong. The shadows all wrong. There's nothing good about the composition either. It's crappy. It's crap art. I'm sorry, it's awful. Look at this self-portrait. He looks nothing like this, but this is how he sees the spirit within him, the thing he channels. And this is basically a Ronald bloody McDonald analogue. This before Ronald McDonald was a thing. Look at the colour palette choice. It's a clown wearing like yellow and red motifs, just like the mascot for McDonald's, Is this where we came from? I mean, I don't know. We can't say that, can we, for sure? But the archetypical symbology is uncanny. And look at this crazy monster. Look at his eyes. He went reptilian with them. Jade, emerald green, slit eyes. Huge eyes, bigger than his actual skull would fit. Just like a serpentine eye would look. Clown red lips, this huge clown afro with a light halo behind him. Why clown of all the aesthetics to choose? He looks nothing like this. But this is supposed to be a self-portrait based on another tarot card. Maybe the Hierophant or something. I can't remember what it's called. Oh, this the one, the Hierophant tarot card, where again he's on another weird self-portrait with himself as the king being adulated by people. And look at this. The red rosy cheeks, the bright red lips, the dead grey white skin. He's got the two mountains behind him, the sun and the moon, the black and the white pillars. And he's got a shaft on his head made of the hair, the red wig hair. This guy's a absolute mess. I'm sorry. Here's an impressionist landscape, garbage. This is also garbage. And this is another twisted image of one of his perverted partners that went clown again. She didn't look anything like this, but he seems to be always going for red hair, pale white skin, huge unnatural shaped eyes, and a wide red mouth. That's his angle every time. There's that crappy landscape we saw again, another red-headed white-skinned woman, an awful landscape of the Volga River in Russia, I believe. Here's a pencil drawing, basic. Here's another painting here where he's sticking his finger up at the people, but this seems to be a giant carrying a head of a smaller individual in the mountains or something. I don't know. I don't know what this is. It's just nonsense, is what it is. It's absolute nonsense. And I don't know what that is. Again, just a lot of crap. And well, to top it off, here's a rooster or a cock with a snake underneath. Yeah, of course, whatever. So there's not much artwork actually available to see yet. This is what I've found. If we keep going a bit deeper, I think I found. Yeah, we'll come back to that in a minute. Here we go. So we found this website, and again, it's a website that collects images of esoteric artwork, very much on the sides of the Satanists. I think it's something to do with music as well. But this guy obviously describes Alistair Crowley as a master. And he's talking about artwork and how hard it is to find his artwork. It says here, between the 7th and 18th of April in 1998, the October Gallery London hosted an exhibition of art by Megathyron 666, Alistair Crowley. Only 2 exhibitions of Crowley's work occurred in his lifetime, and the last exhibition took place in Burns Gallery, Berlin in 1931. So it's hardly surprising that compulsion made sure they visited this rare exhibit of an old master, the art of Alistair Crowley. So they're referring to this guy in a positive light immediately, as though they don't understand what this guy did with his life. The event was organised by that order, or whatever it was called, the OTO, from whom the majority of work on display belonged to. The remainder of the 40 or so exhibits were on loan from the Kenneth Anger collection, and from various private collections, including a landscape that's usually in the possession of the owners of Threshold House. The pictures on show range from pen and ink sketches, watercolours to oil paintings. Undoubtedly, Crowley pursued a highly disciplined approach to magic, following such bodies as the Golden Dawn. However, his art stood in complete contrast in that it remained undisciplined, and necessarily so. What does that even mean? So his art looks kind of crap, but clearly he did it on purpose. Whatever. Well, I don't know what you call it, but please, whatever you do, don't call me a cubist or a futurist, Crowley said, or anything queer like that. I guess you might call me a subconscious impressionist, or something of that order. My art is really subconscious and automatic. Whatever, mate. In particular, Crowley's figurative portraits of Leah Hersig, Ether, and Alastriel are at times almost caricatures, sketched in crayon. Alastriel is a ghoulish portrait of Leah Hersig, naked from the waist up. So this is it. Look at this thing. This is supposed to be his wife at the time, right? Called Leah Hersig. And this is supposed to be the spirit Alastrael that's within her. And it looks like a bloody clown. A big wide grin, Nephilim looking, red haired, white skinned, monstrous clown creature. And that's what he sees within her. Yeah. Meanwhile, an even more grotesque portrait of Hersig. So look at this thing. Another version of the same monster within. She looked nothing like this. She really didn't. Like, you'll see, if we can just look her up in a minute, she did not look like this. Look at this monstrous clown demon thing. Like, clearly he was seeing something, and he expressed it a lot in his crappy portraits. Yeah, whatever. And here is a diabolical looking Quor. I think it's supposed to be a self-portrait, but it's the demon within him. Look at this creepy looking thing. What the hell is that supposed to be? What is that supposed to be? Like a long-skulled Nephilim, long-necked, weird serpentine, angular-featured creature, isn't it, of some kind? So this guy was clearly filled with demons and communion with demons through and through, and it showed in his artwork, clearly. And surprise, surprise, his representations lean towards clownish. It can hardly be surprising, because that is what they looked like, and we know this now. We know these things. Look at this one. Is that supposed to be him and his wife again? I don't know. This one's closer to human, kind of. She's depressed on one side, smiling on the other. Ooh, again, so deep. Honestly, this is the kind of crap you pull at like A-level art, you know what I mean? Just, yeah, this is not clever. This is not deep. This is just pathetic. It's cringy. It makes me cringe seeing these things, and it makes me cringe hearing people rant and rave about it as though it was something deep and interesting, when it's just a bunch of it's just bollocks, isn't it? It's just a load of bollocks. I don't know. It's pathetic. These Satanists are pathetic. Absolutely just pathetic, gross weirdos. That's all they are. There's nothing impressive about anything they come up with. It's just cringe-worthy nonsense. They're just, like I said, they think they're being edgy and cool, and the people who back them up are just as lost and stupid as they are. I'm not going to lie. I mean, look at this artwork. This is his collectibles of his artwork. They sell for like $1,000 to $2,000 to $3,000 or pounds. Just to have the first edition of something this guy created. Here's that pencil drawing I showed you earlier of just a random mountain range with a few wispy clouds drawn. Right? It looks like something I drew when I was like 8 years old, trying to do landscapes in my little sketchbook. 10,000 to £15,000. Okay? That's stupid. That is stupid. This is not worth that. I don't care how prolific he was in influencing modern pop culture and society. This is not clever. I'm sorry. And I don't know what else I can say. It's just idiocy at its finest. This guy was perverted and disgusting, and to prove it to you, let's read one of his poems called Leah Sublime, again about one of his many mistresses and women. Now this, just for context before I do this guy believed that he was the incarnation of the beast talked about in Revelations in the end times. He was the manifestation of the beast. of the end times. And he believed that the women that came into his life were potential avatars for the whore of Babylon, also mentioned in the end times, which is described as riding this beast in Revelations. The same whore of Babylon that drinks the blood of Christians who have died in the end times and revels in all sorts of debauchery and sin. Okay, so these women who come into these cult members, he's groomed in some way. Let's say he makes them embody, or he believes they embody this goddess he's made up in his own head as some kind of whorish harlot, blood drinking satanic witch. And then he basically performs sexual acts with them because he believes the mixing of bodily fluids like blood and semen and all sorts of things like that, feces, urine, everything, is a magical thing, and he can gain power and intellect and knowledge and enlightenment through the acts that performed in sex and the mixing of these things. And to him, the more gritty, the dirtier, the better. So he likes it when, for example, they are riddled with gonorrhea and pus-filled, like, horrible things all over the genitalia, you know what I mean? He thinks that's a good thing, and the more bodily fluids involved in the process, the better. Right, that's what this guy believes. That's what Thelema talks about with its sex magic portion of the religion. So he writes this poem basically glorifying the sex he's having with this woman called Leah. And I'm going to have to blank out a lot of words. And I'm literally just going to say blank whenever I can't say the word, okay? Maybe you can read along as I'm doing it, but I can't say it. All right. So here's the poem, and I'm not going to read it all because it just goes on and on and on and on and on and on for a long time that it gets kind of exhausting. But here we go. Leah sublime, goddess above me, snake of the slime, Alostrael, love me. Our master, the devil, prospers the revel. Tread with your foot my heart till it hurt. Tread on it, put the smear of your dirt on my love, on my shame, scribble your name, straddle your beast, my masterful blank, with the thighs of you greased, with the sweat of your itch, spit on me, scarlet, mouth of my harlot. Now from your wide raw blank the abyss spends spouting the tide of your sizzling blank in my mouth. Oh, my whore, let it pour, you stale like a mare, and blank as you stale through straddled wet hair. You spout like a whale, splash the manure, and blank from the sewer, down to me quick, with your tooth on my lip, and your hand on my blank, with feverish grip, my life as it drinks. How your breath stinks, your hand, oh unclean, your hand that has wasted your love in obscene black masses that tasted your soul. It's your hand. Feel my blank stand, your lifetimes from lewd little girl to mature, worn whore that has chewed your own pile of manure. Your hand was the key to, and now you're frig me too. Rub all the much of your blank on me, Leah. Blank, let me suck all your glued gonorrhea. Blank without end, amen, till you spend. Blank, you have harboured all dirt and disease in your slimy, unbarbered loose hole with its cheese and its monthlies and pox. You chewer of blank, blank, you have blanked up blank, you blank out blank, blank, till blank you blurted out into space. Spend on my face, rub all your gleet away, envenom the arrow, may your pox eat away me to the marrow. Blank, you have got me. I love you to rot me, spend again, lash me. Leah, one spasm, scream to splash me. Slime of the chasm, choke me with spilth of your sow's belly filth. Slab your demoniac. Slime to my brain, soak me with cognac. Blank and blank, sprawl on me, sit on my mouth, Leah. Blank, blank on me, blank. Creamy the curds that drip from your gut. Greasy the blank, dribble your blank on the tip of my tongue. Churn on me, Leah, twist on your thighs, smear diarrhea into my eyes, splutter out blank from the bottomless pit. Turn on me, chew it with me, Leah, whore, vomit it, spew it, and lick it once more. We can make lust, drunk on disgust, splay out your guts, your blank blank, my lover, you blank blank. I know where to blank her. Where she goes, plumb up the foul blank blank sack full of skin and bone. As I speak, I'll blank your grin into a shriek. Blank you, blank, blank your guts, wriggle you hog, wrench in pin, wrench at the pin, wrench at it, drag it half out, suck it in. Scream, you hog dirt, you, I want to hurt you. Beast lioness, squirt from your blank hole. Belch out the dirt from your syphilis soul. Splutter foul words through your supper of blank. May the devil, our lord, your soul scribble over with sayings of odor. Please, sorry, call me your lover, slave of the guts, of the blank of a blank. Call me your sewer of. See, this goes on and on and on. Blank blank, let me come. Allostrial blank, I've spent in your blank blank. Give me the muck from my blank blank, slick dirt of my blank. Eat you, you sow. I'm your dog. Blank blank, swallow it now. Rest for a bit. Satan, you gave a crown to a slave. I am your fate on your belly above you. I swear it by Satan. Leah, I love you. I'm going insane. Do it again. Okay, so this guy is a scumbag and not a very good poet. I'm not going to lie, that was pretty awful. And some of these comments are hilarious. This one guy says, it's just so bad. Crowley really wasn't anything like as great as he thought he was. Super smart and yet such an idiot and a bad writer. You know what, Unjay, you're on point there. I'll give you that one. Yeah. Except for the whole super smart thing. He was never super smart. He's an idiot who literally fell for a demon's words and believed it was something great. And then someone else is saying, great Crowley, guess I need to go to church this Sunday. Jesus, this is intense. This poem seems to redline pretty quickly and then just slams the reader right there in the extreme content for a heck of a long time. Then it delivers exhaustion and then the impossible plea to ride the roller coaster again. I don't know, Crowley. I don't know if I can buckle up again. This person's like, oh, what a great poem. What? This idiot here is like, this reads like great pornography. Well, we know what you're into straight away. Invalid. Your point is invalid. Totally awesome satire in its most raw and best form. He thinks this is satire. This is not satire. He wasn't being satirical when he wrote this filth. This is actually what he believes and does. This was serious. Yet these Satanists always like to hide behind satire. Oh, he doesn't really believe in Satan. He's just saying that to rile up all the Christians. Whatever. Whatever. Yeah, that is a bullshit excuse. I'm sorry. Alistair was renowned for one-upping anyone who tries to outsmut him, outgross him. Well, whatever, that doesn't make sense. That doesn't make it good what he's doing. He's described as Lucifer's own Jesus Christ, the Beast 666, a true and worthy saviour of the standards of the coming of enlightenment, or whatever. Yeah. This is a mess. This is a mess, okay? That gives you a small, tiny insight to the disgusting mind of this human being. And this is the influence for modern mainstream music. I mean, there's actually a song by oh, what's his name? Ozzy Osbourne called Mr. Crowley, I'm pretty sure, which is named after this. Um, what else we got there? The Beatles, Crowley in the background. There he is in the background of the Beatles album in the top corner. Why would you have this character on this album? This is the type of thing he's into. You know what I mean? This is the type of thing he does. He's just a pure Satanist through and through. Yeah, everywhere you go, it's always like, no, he's not a Satanist. You know, to say he was a Satanist would be to believe and agree with the Christian perspective that there is a devil. You know, he's an atheist. He's created his own worldview. He's his own God. He has his own religion. Unironically understanding that, yes, that is Satanism. Call it whatever you want. It's the same thing. You will be as gods. Do as thou wilt shall be the whole of the law, is what was promised to Adam and Eve by the serpent in the garden. It's the same thing. You will, your eyes will be opened. You will be enlightened. You will be a god. You know, it's the same thing. That's exactly what he's promising with his Thelema sex magic cult. It's the same thing. And the bottom line of this whole point of this presentation, his artwork was shit. And I'm going to leave it at that. And I'm going to come back to the group chat and just see what you guys are thinking about all of this. Let me just quickly switch this over to the slideshow. We'll do the slideshow. There we go. Right. Oh, Kanga Kong, thanks for the donation. I've just seen that. That's lovely. Thanks for that. I wanted to do 22, but it won't let me make my own amount. Oh, that's strange. My B-day is on the 22nd, so it's helped make up for the lost monetization. I'm so happy about my dog perking up. So am I. I read your email today. I'm sorry, obviously. He's getting on in years, so obviously health complications come. I understand. I've had dogs in my life too, and I'm happy he's feeling a lot better for you. I really am. Just trying to catch up to where I was last in the chat so I can see what people were saying about this. Oh yeah, that's the point I didn't mention. Crowley did die alone, addicted to opiates, okay? So this guy's death, basically, he died of syphilis-related complications and a heavy use of heroin all the time. So, whatever. Yeah, how did that work out for you? Did you reach your pure form of godlike enlightenment in that way? Did you? I don't know. Yeah, the guy's an idiot. He had a daughter as well. One of them died because he was traveling all over the world. And obviously, during that time, diseases, vaccinations, all that type of thing didn't exist to protect against obviously the diseases all over the world. So the newborn daughter, which was named Lilith, 10,000 other satanic names, Crowley. Literally, she had like 16 names attached to her, all of them satanic related. That baby died, and then the other baby, what was her name? Oh, I've got it here actually. Sad story for this one, actually. Really sad story. Lola Zarzar Crowley was born in 1906. The mother, Crowley left the mother because of her alcoholism and left the alcoholic mother to raise the child. The mother's brother ended up raising this baby instead. And then this little girl grew up and wanted absolutely nothing to do with her father whatsoever. Even though he tried to get back into her life every now and then, she just kept cutting him out because she read some of the books he tried to give her, saying, "Oh, I can make you see things, I can make you enlightened." She read the work and said, "Yeah, this is definitely an insight into the character of this man, and I want nothing to do with this absolute degradate idiot," basically. So he lost his other daughter to basically abandonment. Like she left him. She didn't want nothing to do with him whatsoever. She lived to a good old age. I believe she lived up until the 90s, I think, or the 80s at the age of 84, So good for her for surviving uh, that guy. Well done, and good for her for getting out of it. But anyway, back to the chat. What's going on here? Unbelievable for this terrible person to have a lot of connections and the people he inspired, NASA, Led Zeppelin, etc. Oh yeah, he's all over the music world and the art industry. He's everywhere. As though it's just edgy to mention him. Whatever, this guy is an absolute moron. It's not hard work, it's fart work. Exactly. Like Bob Dylan, he had a contract. He did, yeah, Bob Dylan's quoted as saying, I made a deal with the big guy upstairs, sold my soul, basically. He admits it. Um, it's astonishing how much Barbara Bush looks like Crowley. Yes, I have seen that, actually. I remember that. I can't believe I haven't brought that up. Yeah, that's a classic one, that is it. Let me see if I can find the comparison here online and just show you. It's uncanny how much she looks like him. Here we go. So this is a good one. I'll show the page. Yeah, so Barbara Bush looks just like this guy. It's possible she's like a love child, a result of this. But look at this. It's uncanny. Yeah, a possible ascendant there. We don't know though, but yeah, possibly it could be the case. Yeah, thanks for reminding me of that one. Definitely, thanks for reminding me of that one. Whatever, they're all in it together. They're all satanic scumbags, aren't they? It doesn't matter whether they're related or not. They're definitely all satanic scumbags. All right, let's keep going. Let's keep going. Losing my plot. Losing the plot. Losing the plot. Back to the slideshow. There we go. Why don't these people ever pretend to worship Jesus or Muhammad or Buddha? It's always Satan, and they say, "Ah, just kidding." Exactly, I know, right? It's a slimy technique. It's gaslighting at its finest, isn't it? They're quite obviously satanic, and you pointing it out makes you crazy. It's like, shut up, you absolute flannel! Like you're clearly a Satanist. I once tried to read that book of the law. Did not really make any sense. They never do. It's all just word salad, sigil magic nonsense. It always is. That's how they get people hooked in. Because then idiots read it and think, "Wow, this must be so deep," because I can't understand it. It's like, nah. It's just the ramblings of an insane heroin addict. Um, a rapist that got really away with a lot of things as well. He did, yeah. It looks like a character from the Three Stooges, yeah. Um, just a This guy was pure evil, and I don't understand why he wasn't arrested or taken out. He admitted to abuse of children. Yeah, I know. He even mentions it actually at some point. In one of his books, he talks about how he's the best thing for magic is to sacrifice a young, attractive male. And he says, "I've killed about 150 of them myself," something like that. And then people are saying people didn't understand the context that he was actually talking about masturbation. It's like, no, he wasn't. Don't say that. The way he phrased it has nothing to do with semen. I'm sorry. He is talking about specifically killing and sacrificing 150 boys. That's what he said. There was no reinterpretation, tongue in cheek, jester like, esoteric view of it. He said he kills children, okay? And during that time, it was probably a lot easier to get away with it because the law system wasn't quite as thorough as it was today, you know? um, is that AWAS thing the same thing that Parsons person tried to summon? I don't know, but whatever. It's all the same. Um, You mean ayahuasca? Yeah. 300 works of art. More like 300 wastes of paint and canvas. Absolutely. Of course, there's obelisks in it, yeah. Obviously, always referencing ancient Egypt all the time. Because obviously, he was in Egypt when he channeled that demon as well. I remember that Crowley tried all his life to summon a demon and it to appear in physical form, but he did not succeed. And the closest thing he got was incense smoke looking like a demon or something. Oh yeah, the guy was pathetic, honestly. So pretentious. It is, isn't it? It's just pretentious nonsense. Imagine taking that nut seriously. A lot of people do. That's the sad thing. And a lot of people today still take his words seriously, and they don't seem like happy people to me, to be honest. They're not very well put together people when I've met. Um, Fables for real. Those are really bad. Yeah. Some of them don't look like paint, but like someone's got a hold of some crayons. Exactly. Exactly. It's so muddy too. Absolutely hideous. The Nephilim are definitely behind the transgender movements. They like to corrupt creation and deceive. The name of Jesus, God's will win in the end. Yep. Um, oh no, McDonald was involved with Crowley. Well, I don't know, but you look at that painting and you look at Ronald McDonald, and you can't help but think there's some kind of weird similarity there, can't you? I don't know if they knew each other or what was going on exactly, but or if he was inspired by it. I'm sure he would never admit it, but there's definitely a similarity, isn't there? If Crowley was still alive, he'd be making shit art like that Ramiro Brito guy posted about it in Telegram group. Um, oh yeah, that guy. Yeah, yeah. For all the celebrities making that terrible artwork, yeah, it probably would be. He'd be trendy. He'd be a trendy celebrity artist, wouldn't he? He is not king now. No. Uh, Talk about potty training there with my wife. That one with the mountains and flowers is the best of a bad lot, kind of. Yeah, I don't know. I won't put any of them on my wall. It looks like people that do art under psychedelics. Yep. Oh, this guy was off his tits all the time. Absolutely, he was not in the world. He was on another plane all the time. Not a good one. Not a good plane. The artwork is very simple. So are the illustrations in the Voynich manuscript, and people are still fascinated with those. Yeah, yeah, I remember the Voynich manuscript. We saw Mama Bear and cubs in the woods, and we're afraid to go outside of the cottage. That's fair enough, humble stranger. Stay indoors. Ah, oh, sorry, he's having a quick drink there. Crowley ate his own excrement. He sure did, as we just read in that poem. He loved to eat other people's excrement as well. I don't blame you, humble stranger. Animals acting weird lately. Yep. Drugs would explain a lot. Certainly would 42. Looking like a titan. Yeah, Chris Q. It did, didn't it? It did look. It looks like this image on the screen now. In fact, on this ancient Greek pottery, representing a gorgon. Very similar looking. Uh, if Crowley was seeing these entities everywhere, it's no wonder he was such a bizarre dude. Yeah, it's always best to avoid a bear mauling. Absolutely good advice there. A catfish demon, King Solomon sigils are today's emojis. You know what, Melody? I remember seeing that video. That it's from the Goetia, isn't it? Or the is it the 72 symbols of the seals of the demons of the Goetia or something like that? And I think someone did create all the emojis based on these sigils in the Goetia, which is fascinating. I've seen that, and it's definitely true. Be highly careful of some of the emojis you use and where their actual origins are, because if you look into that, it's actually terrifying. Just where all these emojis, these faces we have, actually have the exact similar mimicked image within these representations of demonic symbols. It's interesting. The Pope's Exorcist movie shows them using sigils on demons. Yeah, whatever. It's all a show. I don't think you can use a sigil to cast out a demon. I don't think it works like that. All you need is the name of Jesus and his authority and power. It's more about brand than the quality, as usual, absolutely. I used to pour my heart out into my art and study techniques, documentaries, but would never get recognition. But one day I saw a shit blob on a canvas selling for 12 million. Yeah, it's pretty disheartening, isn't it? I know. I don't care for Picasso's work, but his is miles better than this crap. Can you imagine putting that trash on your wall? Exactly. Um, Paul, that thing with the long nose is a variant of a demon. I can't remember the name, but I will get back to you on it. There's a guy on here who specializes in those from encounters he had. Interesting. If you talk about an image that comes up here, I'm not sure what long nose thing you were talking about. But if you could send me a link, that'd be great. Money laundering is big in the art world. It is 42. Yeah, it's huge. Um, Lock her up. Another Madic religion. Absolutely. That is nasty. Yeah. Well, I found the poem I'm using for my next Valentine's Day card. Yeah, right. Yeah. Yeah, it is awful. Honestly, that poem is just nasty. It's so infantile and puerile and stupid. Like, it's not even good. It's not even a good poem, is it? It's not even close to a good poem. Not even a little bit. It is just god awful. Even the rhymes are just lazy. It's like, you know what I mean? Like an edgy 15-year-old, like trying to sound cool. That's what it reminds. I cringe at the thought of it all. Um, Typical Reddit user these days, I suppose. Neither of us could be doing this alone right now, says my wife. Nope. Potty training is a nightmare. Bleep, bleeping, bleep, bleep. Yeah. Funny how these people believe in the Nephilim so much that I'm sure it was the spirits who tell them to do all this nasty stuff. It is. It definitely, like I said, Alistair Crowley literally said, yeah, this entire religion was dictated to me by a demon I summoned in Cairo. He says it out loud, you know, and it is a perverted, twisted religion. And he was told by the demon, do all this nasty stuff and you will be able to be like a god. You'll get enlightenment. You'll be in touch with your true self. All the usual New Age Gnostic hippie bollocks. Whatever. Oh, this is Shakespeare. Yeah, so you were all pretty grossed out by that poem, right? Yeah, it's pretty nasty. Jesus wept, absolutely. Dr. Zeus isn't quite what I remembered. Imagine me having no idea about this YouTube channel and finding this poem in your search history, says my wife. Well, yeah. He said blank a lot. Yeah. You're definitely getting demonetized for this. Maybe. Hey, it's all within context though, right? Should we get a surely context should matter. I don't know. I don't know. Well, whatever. 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 If it does or it doesn't, it's fine. The truth is our way. Just like green eggs and the demons might have had a really good laugh by giving him all kinds of stupid stuff. I think so. Like they said that these demons definitely prey on the weak-minded and the stupid. Absolutely. She sounds like a charmer. Dude, stop your suffering. I know, right? It was rough. It does go on, doesn't it? I'm not sophisticated enough to appreciate this. Enough. I got friends who like this clown. Yeah, exactly. You know, there's these people out there who do. And if they do, and after reading that, I think you know what kind of people they are. Maybe they shouldn't be your friends anymore. Just saying. David Kane. Oh, thanks for the super chat. I appreciate that. Sorry, the chat's jumping all over the place. Give me a minute. I've got to scroll back. He's the jester. He certainly is. Please, no more poems. No more. Okay, I promise I won't read any more poems. I am sorry. Jason Hand, I'm highly offended. So you should be. The only thing that was great about it was that it ended. Remember, words are spells. What does that say of people who like this garbage? Well, that's the point. And the thing is, the modern music today isn't much better. It really isn't much better if you listen to the lyrics. It's equally as poorly written as well. I'm not so sure Crowley was human. Well, no. They're fascinated with his bald head. Sex magic is used to siphon life force of the weaker individual. I don't care what it's used for. It's disgusting and it's evil. They said he was terrified before he died. I would be too if I was in his position, because yeah, all those years of real of mocking God and Jesus and worshipping Satan, you know, and then you realize, oh well, actually they must be real, right? If the devil's real, and then what do you do in your deathbed? You know what I mean? Yeah, and yeah, I'm not surprised he was terrified. They call it terrorism. Aesthetic terrorism. It is to provoke fear and loss of focus on what is really important. It desensitizes you to more to study it until it normalizes as just another day in Sodom. Yeah, yeah. Um, the poem reminded me of Vogan poetry from Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Oh yeah, that's a brilliant point. Yeah, I remember that. I remember that. The Vogons are just so terrible at poetry that people it's like torture to other people. Yeah, I do remember that absolutely. It does seem like it might have been the case. Who's that witch, Abramovich? I think her name is. She's popular with celebrities. Yeah, Marina Abramovich. Remember the exhibit where she had blood, semen, and milk mixed in a bucket and she painted blasphemies with it? Yeah. Yeah. Spirit cooking, it was called. At least she had good sense as an adult, the kid. Yeah, the poor kid, I know. The children are always the victims in these people's sick games. Is Papa Bush a man? I don't know about that. There is a band named Edge Guy, Ed Guy, with an album named The Time of the Joker or something. The cover has a jester, and the one song on the album is named Alistair Crowley Tribute. Of course, I'm going to look that up right now. If I can type it in the right place. Okay, well, they're a satanic looking band straight away, aren't they? I don't know. They all look a bit old to me to be playing this game still. Um, I see it now. Yeah, so on their album is literally a jester bursting through a hole in the wall like a portal. And you say one of the songs, yeah, okay, they seem to love using the jester motif, don't they? It's always the same. It's always the same. This doesn't seem like the type of band I'd be interested in looking at. I'll quickly share the screen with you guys so you know what I'm looking at here, but this is the band he's talking about. Here's one of the albums. The Alistair Crowley Memorial Boogie. This is the Age of the Joker album. Here's another one. And here they are, looking super cool, right? Losers, honestly. Right, let's bring this back down. There we go. I used to roll my eyes at those who said everything was satanic as a kid. Now I'm that person. Me too. David Kane says those very far taken cannot say some names. Exorcists say demons can't say Mary or Jesus' name. I forget what the name they apply to Mary is, but Jesus is commonly called the Nazarene by the demons. That's interesting. The authorities all need to be arrested. Most of the top are Satanists. Yeah, it seems that way. Just reading Kanga's response to my wife there. Oh my gosh, that would be awful. Just thinking about seeing that and wondering why my husband or boyfriend had it on his computer. I'd be almost afraid to ask, but I would ASAP. Yeah. Barbara Bush was Crowley's daughter. Yeah, possibly. Possibly. I don't know about that. We'll see. Does anyone remember the man who had a channel on here? He legit died of a heart attack several years ago. Anyway, he wrote about these long-nosed entities. He gave them a name. Anyone remember? I'm not sure. I'm not sure, Kanga. Right, the chat's just popped straight back down again. Sigils are just extensions of words and letters. Why do you think they call it spelling? Most sigils and signs of demons include their name for a reason. It's an addressal and the shape is the intent. Yes, ostensibly. That's right, Fana. I actually did a video on sigil magic. Um, and I used a prime example of a signature being a good example of a personal sigil that people create. It's a symbol or an image created with the intent to represent something specific, and it's a symbol that has power, especially in the legal authority sense. So it's something people can literally tangibly understand as a powerful symbol. your signature is used for important documents because it has power to be signed and to represent you as an individual. Um, but then obviously from there I segue into sigil magic itself used in the occult sense. I do think a signature is a good jumping off point for people to understand how a personal invented symbol can have power. You know, I think everyone can understand that perspective. But yeah, sigils are exactly as you described, extensions of words and letters. It's an addressal in the shape and the intent. The shape is the intent. Yeah. So a lot of the things they do with the shapes when creating this personal symbol or sigil to represent something is channeled in a way. It's created to represent something specific, even if it's personal to the person and no one else understands. It doesn't matter. The power, it can still be charged. Dr. Seuss said some porno cartoons before he did children's books. Ugh, that's dark. Drunk wedding photographer prayers that it's not going to get worse. The weather. Oh, is the weather bad? Who would want to be enlightened if you had to do even 1% of the stuff in that poem? Exactly, I know. Crowley's work is always unreadably gross. Yeah. Um, I would read every poem ever written by Vogans before I read a single poem by Crowley. Well, it's too late. You've already read one now, Elby. Um, you're very thorough. I'm informed now. Wow. Did he talk about Grandma Robert Smith earlier? I'm not sure about that. No. What a great descriptive phrase, aesthetic terrorism. I remember that one. Brilliant. I was always a Cure fan, but even this, I see it. Yeah. Yeah, I've added a few extra photos to my slide reel here, and as you can see, the lead singer of The Cure was there, and he looks fat and ugly and haggard and battered in his old age. Yeah, he's still wearing white, some kind of white powder on his face with his red lips and his black eyeliner. Sometimes you just need to stop. You know, there comes a point where you should just stop. I think cymatics and frequency have a lot to do with sigils. Yeah, a lot of sigils do seem to be physical representations of frequency principles. That's for sure. Especially in a circular form. I do agree. Like sand on a plate with vibration going through it creates a lot of these similar forms. I saw a video of this young girl, witch girl, telling how to make and use sigils. Yeah, just stay away. It's not important. You don't need to deal with any of that stuff. You know, it's this myth, isn't it, within the satanic belief systems, the New Age belief systems, that, you know, everything they're doing, this witchcraft, is giving them power and making them more godlike or godly or their own personal god, and it's making them powerful. But this is the lie. Like, they have more power by, you know, having a relationship with God and Jesus than they would ever have. And their life would become 10 times better and where they needed to be than they'll ever achieve by consulting the cards or the stones or the signs or the stars or the angels or themselves or connecting deeper on levels with meditation or exploring their consciousness. All these other alternative avenues to having a peaceful, happy life that they're searching for bring nothing but pain and misery and loneliness and destitution and desperation, you know. Um, then they could have it all. They could have it all. You know, this is the lie that was told in the Garden of Eden, you know, when the serpent said to Adam and Eve, "You'll be as gods with your eyes open." The trick was they already were. And their distraction and their belief that they weren't is kind of what the trick was. So they go searching for something they already had all along. You know what I mean? They couldn't have gotten any better for them, but they were tricked into believing it could, and that's kind of the issue, you know. Um, I could see how someone who didn't know God could easily be led to make sigils, yeah. Very true on the signature point, says Fanner. The same reason the king's ring was so important, a signet ring was a royal seal of approval. That's absolutely, yeah. Solomon's ring, yeah. Satan is called Prince of the Power of the Air in the Bible in regards to frequency or electricity, absolutely. Very cool. He's laughing at that band, I think. Goth is a young man's game. It certainly is, I know. I feel the same way about all these older bands. Just stop already. You're too damn old. It's over. Give up. Move on. Go and spend some time with your grandchildren, please. Does anyone remember Somatic Frequencies by Cold Cuts? It was Ali, but I would imagine if I rewatched it now, it would pop with symbolism. Yeah, probably. And Deidre says, "Amen" to my little rant there. Yeah, I mean, in terms of music, I've done a little rant today about music, which like I said, I'll upload tomorrow. But there's this one point, which I suppose is on par with what we were just saying then, that you get these people who music is their life, they'll say, or something like that. And I get it. The problem is we're talking about music. I say this in the video as well. It's such a personal, subjective thing of what is and isn't good music that when you attack someone or say you dislike a particular genre of music, it gets to the point where an individual that hears you say that takes it personally. They take it as a personal attack. So if I say, for example, I just don't like screamo. I can't stand the genre of screamo, and I can't personally. But then someone who loves screamo music would hear me say that, and they would think I was personally attacking them by saying such a thing. People get really defensive when you start talking smack about music, honestly. I've seen it many times before because I'm the type of guy who literally says this music's shit and somebody puts it on. It's like, I just don't get it. Why do you like this crap? Like, this is noise. This isn't music. As I say stuff like that and people get angry, and I get it. It's not fair to say that. And I understand why people get passionate about that type of thing, but I think there's a point where it's getting a bit weird that people identify so much with noises, and have based their entire personality and who they are and how they act based on a band who makes a bunch of noise. When you say it in a simplistic form, it does just sound silly, doesn't it? And you get these, as we were mentioning earlier, it's a young man's game. You get these like 50 something, 40 something year olds who are still living in the 80s and the 70s and still dress in the same way and go to these concerts to watch these aging bands and act the same way. And it's kind of like an Arrested Development situation. It's kind of like they never grew up. They never got out of it, and it's kind of the culture they're in is it's just cringy and pathetic. It's kind of like, get over it. And you get these people who are in the 50s, like I said, who still think the band's gonna make it and they're gonna get famous. It's kind of like, please just stop. Have some dignity in your old age. Show some decorum, please. It's time to stop. It's time to leave childish dreams behind, and live in reality type of thing. And I just see a lot of that still. And I'm a musician. I can play a fair few instruments. I've been in a band. I get it. I know a thing or two about music. I'm not completely ignorant, but I've just never been that obsessed with idols. I don't follow bands. I don't keep up to date with them. You know what I mean? I hear a song and I like it, and it's as simple as that for me. But then I don't go on to find out about the person who made the music and worship them or follow them or get obsessed with them, which a lot of people seem to do. And maybe it's this idea of wanting to be a part of something bigger than yourself. Maybe it's this idea that if I like this band because all these other thousands and thousands of people like them, then maybe I can become a part of something like a group of people who also like this band and we have something in common together, and I can feel like I have an in group, like I have a group in which, I can feel like I'm a part of something bigger than myself. But the thing that's bigger than themselves within these cults is just the idol that they're all following, the person making the noises, or the people making the noises. And that's just not sustainable or really a good foundation, realistically. And this is what you shouldn't really have any idols. This is the whole point of why idol worship is so fruitless and useless. And the world has enough idols today for young people and many people to follow of all ages and creeds and backgrounds. They all have their own personal idols presented to them as options against God, basically. But there's something cultish about a lot of it. And I understand man's desire and need to be a part of something bigger than themselves, but don't make it some person who just makes a living making noises. Like, that's not It's not ideal. It's not optimal, is it? Um, the Swifties. The Juggalos is a very good example of what I'm talking about. Or the Lady Gaga's Little Monsters is another one. Um, got the Beliebers, haven't you? What else is there? There's loads. There's loads of cult personalities out there. Um, Concerts can be a religious experience, I guess. That's true. Have you tried digging about hidden technologies related to sound and frequency and light, etc.? It's all I did for years before I found this niche and focused on the Nephilim stuff. Yeah, I remember the Coral Island, or Coral Castle, is it? Um, where this individual claims to have built this entire rock castle and garden with all these stones laid on top of each other and carved into amazing shapes, and he claims he did it all by himself using sound and frequency to his advantage, some kind of technology. But yeah, I understand there's a form of technology in this world that harnesses powers that we no longer understand. That is true. And it's all to do with sound and vibration, light and frequency, absolutely. This is the sacred knowledge that's been hidden and occulted from us and is now within the realms of secret societies. But this, of course, was the original knowledge of how the universe worked, which was created by God, which was co opted and corrupted and hidden by those of the other side. Screamo is awful. It sure is. We're all worshipping something. Yeah, I guess we are. We're all worshipping something. Concerts can be a religious experience. Pied Piper, humble. They performed the Taylor Swift song in my church this morning. It was appalling, but the sermon after it was good. Okay. When I look at how people go crazy for people on stage performing, I'm now embarrassed for them. It seems degrading. All music is worship music. In some way, yeah, I suppose. It's always, like I say, it's a religious experience for some. It's the closest thing people get to a religious experience in many cases. Vostov lads here. Good to see you. I've not seen you in a while. Bro, it's not just making noises, it's a full show and charismatic performance. Not everyone can make a good show. I've been to many concerts, there's people who suck at their performance. Sure, no idolizing, but I respect the art. I'm asking about the hidden technologies because demons and Satan seem very keen on the usage of technology, yeah. Anyway, sup, hope you're healthy and good. No, I get what you're saying. Look, I'm not saying all music. I'm being facetious when I say all music is evil and satanic. Look, there's some people have their own God-given talents and skills and are wonderful at performing. And I like music. I have my own people I listen to that I enjoy thoroughly. But I would never make idols out of them, and that's where the line gets crossed. And though I'm sure there's a lot of musicians out there who don't want to be idolized and treated like a god and just want to be respected and appreciated for their skills and abilities. But there are some artists out there who never had any skill and ability, and if they gained anything, it was probably through a team of people working on their behalf to give the illusion that they had some skill and ability by writing all the music for them. Or they simply channel their skills and abilities and music and songs and lyrics from spirit realms through occult means. And everything about them is a persona, a false image, a mask. Through just for the pure source of need for narcissistic adulation. And those are the players that get put mainly in the mainstream position. Those are the ones that we are told you must enjoy because everybody else does. They're in the charts, don't you know? That means they are good. And people go, yes, they are good, and follow it. There's a lot of that. But that is to say, there aren't a lot of real, wonderful, talented musicians out there who, sadly, will never really get too much the limelight. And being a performer is something else. Um, I think a lot of people in this world like you said, may not appreciate somebody who can just sing and play guitar really well, but they can appreciate the person who can sing and play the guitar mediocre. But look, they can dance as well, so it's kind of, and they can do other things, and they got such a cool light show going on as well, haven't they? Um, but yeah, that's all I'm saying on that. I suppose my gripe mainly, like I'm saying, is with mainstream artists that we are told we must love. The ones who are incessantly played on repeat on the radio. And if that's the case, the assumption is, well, these must be the greatest artists of our time if they're on the radio, right? And we kind of just accept that, and those who actually have real raw talent off their own skill and hard work don't necessarily get put in those positions where they have an audience. It's just the way our system works. It's just as corrupt as every other art industry. Some have noted that the Beatles' early music seemed a little too sophisticated for a teenage garage band from Liverpool, and the way those girls went crazy for them just speaks of mind control. Well, yeah, maybe, yeah. It was all just orchestrated and designed. Yeah, avoid the charts, lol. So you get what I'm saying. Riders on the Storm, Hurricanes with Jews might be used. Have you read the Lennon Prophecy? I haven't read the Lennon Prophecy. In the 80s, at least, pop music was still good. Well, I guess it was. There was a lot of dodgy clown stuff going on in the 80s, more so than today, I'd say, as well. Entertainment is different than music. Good marketing doesn't mean talent. It all comes down to what you channel, maybe. I don't know. Well, yeah, I guess so. It depends what spirit you're filled with at the end of the day. The pic you have cycling of the clown with the wine bottle makes me think of Revelation 17:2. Not a war. I need to look up quotes up. Not spiraling you, but I think okay. Ito is a lever of the enemy. I don't know what you said there, David Kane. I'm sorry. You have to say that again in clearer English, but I tried. Um, yeah, the music industry, I just can't get on board with, because like I said, I decoded that this Clint Eastwood song, which came out in 2002, so it's 20 years old, over 20 years old. And even then, when that song came out, everyone loved it. It was the greatest thing ever. It's now praised as one of the greatest songs ever created. And even today, people still haven't realized what was going on there, what was really being sung about. Nobody bothers to stop and actually listen to the words that are being said in these greatest songs ever. And even if they do hear the words, are they listening? Are they really listening to the overall arching message behind them? I don't think people are. Well, and fair enough, people don't have the time. And that's the trick, isn't it? They know people aren't going to bother to actually understand what's being said to them, and therefore the messaging can get through subconsciously, and people will end up dictating their lives by these songs, this magic. That's what it is at the end of the day. All art is a form of magic in some respects, and these repetitive mantras, which is what they are, embed ideas. And ideas are what have people. They possess people, and just like, people don't have ideas, ideas have people. And I firmly believe that. It's like a possessing spirit. And people act in certain ways based on what they were programmed with through these mantras. So we have to be careful. What was the spirit behind the mantra? You have to wonder. The video really did kill the radio star. Yeah. The music sucks so much now that a lot of young people aren't even interested in music anymore. Yeah, well, it's a sad state of affairs, isn't it? It is. Ah, dudes, directed energy weapons. I get it now. Okay, yeah, yeah. I personally think that is probably what hands down is actually going on. I haven't followed much of it to be honest, because like I said, I've had my own thing going on lately in my personal life. But from what I have seen of the cursory glance, it does seem like a targeted attack to me. But what do I know? You know. I mean, music, television, books are mediums. They send. There's a reason they are called mediums. Yeah, no, I understand. Yeah, our language is very telling when you look into the etymology of most things. I agree. It's kind of like I said, spelling is a prime example. To cast a spell, to put somebody under a spell is to use words because we spell out words. It's there, and magic isn't sparkles and light flying out of the end of a wooden stick. It's the words we speak through our mouth using vibrations and frequency, which is noise. Everything is sound and frequency, and that's what influences people, which is why music is such a powerful thing. But sound and frequency also comes under the brackets of light, and that's what art is. That's what paintings are. It's just refractions of light in colors and form. And they also, that's another form of magic at the end of the day. All forms of creativity in that respect is a form of magic, and you need to be careful about what kind of spells you're casting, whether you're conscious of it or not. I think it says something in the Bible. You'll have to give an account for every word you speak, and I think there's a reason for that. It's no joke. You need to be extremely careful about what you choose to say. I think that's why there's that old idiom. If you have nothing nice to say, then it's best just not to say anything at all. And I think there's a lot to that. Now, this isn't to say you can't go through life speaking anymore, because that's just not practical, is it? But it's about the intent behind your language. You should be very careful. And there's whole art forms out there dedicated to using language to manipulate people. Look at neuro-linguistic programming as a prime example. It's the subtle art of using the right words at the right time to the right type of person, and you can get them to do whatever you want. So you've got to be careful. So someone just said here, NLP is all word spells. The founders' mentors were heavily involved in MK Ultra. Absolutely. And NLP is a basic training method for most salesmen nowadays. You've got to be careful. I have a pocketbook of NLP actually upstairs, which I kept because I used to be into it all myself years ago, when I was maybe 10 years ago, 11, 15 years ago, when I worked at a call center, I was looking in that type of stuff. And the psychology of influence is a powerful thing, and it's basically magic. These science books, which are about the psychology of influence, as they call it, this neuro-linguistic programming, is basically just a modern rendition of witchcraft. Spell books, spell casting books. It's the same thing, just with that secular aesthetic, that secular scientific aesthetic added over to the top of it. A different language to talk about the same thing. It's kind of funny. Vosto says word. um, it's happening. People died. Unlike MM says, is a setup. Uh, that immediately came to mind. NLP. Yeah. Guess I'm just making the connection here. Like I said earlier, people who make mouth noises are the ones who make pretty mouth noises are the ones who get worshipped. And there's something to be said for that. Whether it's the poets, the authors, the singers, the songwriters, or whatever performance involves words, the actors, they end up being idolized. And these are the spellcasters at the end of the day. These are the modern magicians. And what it means to be a magician has just kind of been occulted through childish symbolism, you know. Our magicians are just those people that pull rabbits out of hats. Our magicians are wizards, right? People with like staffs and wands. Yeah, then that's kind of how it's all been perceived in the Western mind, but it's not. Au contraire, Paul, magic can totally be fire coming out of a wand. Tip. or rather it used to be. Remember that the pharaoh's priests were also able to turn a stick into a snake. Yeah, I think the earth was more magically charged then, to be a lot more trippy and psychedelic in a edit the matrix type of way, understanding how to manipulate the code of reality to make things appear that aren't truly there. I think there probably was a lot of that going on then, but I do think a lot of that also was basically at the aid of demons. So they would use the demon in the spirit realm to make that happen, rather than by virtue of their own talent or skill. I think nowadays you may see evidence of that. The Demon Magicians series online on YouTube is a very good example, possibly, of that happening. So I do think it can kind of still happen like that, but it's not by virtue of an individual being able to do it themselves. It's by virtue of having a demon entity help them. I think a lot of that stuff was performed. The magic that humans can perform themselves without the aid of a demon is things subtly like spellcasting, like words and language, and NLP, for example. Um, but the real power, the real trippy, powerful, reality bending stuff comes with working with demons, and that's where usually these magicians end up in the end, isn't it? Yeah. There's levels to it, of course. Not very inventive, these occultists, no. Conductors use wands, like wizards too. Maybe a stretch, though. That's true, they do have a wand, and they orchestrate the music and the sound, don't they? Yeah. The frequency and the vibration, which is probably what symbolically the sparks and light coming out of the wizard wand is supposed to represent, frequency, light, and sound and vibration. Symbolically speaking, that does seem to make sense to me. The broadcasters. Yeah, the broadcasters casting spells, that's right. Some of the practitioners of NLP are into the Kabbalah and the law of attraction, like David Snyder. Yeah, absolutely. I perform and write electronic music, says Michael Evans. I love it, but I see it for what it is. People within the scene just get sucked into idol worship, hoping for that adulation to perpetuate their nihilism. Yeah, a lot of that. It's hard to believe most people are evil, but they are. I hate trying to spell a mobile phone, so fair enough. Um, Videodrome is a movie about literal spells casted from VHS tapes. That's interesting. Conductors use wands like wizards too. Not very inventive. Did 9/11 have anything to do with demons, even though it was human technology? I don't know about that. Um, it does seem like it was a giant symbolic ritual performed on a mass scale. The destruction of the old to the building of the new. Um, the collapse of the dualistic system of left and right, of good and evil, of dark and light, to erect a one world where everything is one and the good and evil are no longer as apparent, but they are now one subjective being of the same entity, a yin and yang coming together type of symbol. Hence the two towers becoming one tower. Um, did they call it the Freedom Tower? Which I'm guessing is freedom from God's order. Is what they symbolically were trying to say from that, but I don't know. It does seem like a giant Masonic ritual on a huge scale. Yeah, they like doing that. Um, Humans can't be trusted with magic. That's why God forbade it. Pretty much, yeah. We're too corrupt to use it. That's our problem. We're too corrupt to have access to it. We always end up bad. It always ends up with us writing poems about horrible, heinous acts with our lovers. Um, and nobody wants that. It's just cringy. A Ponzi scheme of the soul. Yeah. Just glad we have eyes to see through it all, says Humble Stranger. Well, yeah, so am I. The Wizard of Oz has a lot of clownish aspects, e.g., the Munchkins. It does. Love Ecclesiastes, says David Kane. Zendrius has many more videos on magicians who use demons. His last one or two really goes into the history of magicians using demons. He shows old advertisements of demons whispering in the ear. Yeah. Oh, yeah, 100%. The demon pact is always an important part of it. I've yet to see a form of magic without demonic aid. Even in writing words, you're influenced by muses to be inspired. Yeah, that's right. Like I said, you channel these entities, like the demon in the song I depicted in Clint Eastwood. He is telling you, I am the one who writes all the songs. I am channeled by artists out there who think they are the one making the songs, but it's not. It's actually me. And that's what that whole song is about. He's telling you the truth. I think he was the public face for Satanism, a way to make an avant-garde thing that some people did. The real Satanists couldn't brag and boast in public, so he was the 1900s for the predictive programming. That's right, yeah, it does seem like Alistair Crowley was just a useful idiot on every front. Right, guys, anyway, I'm coming up to the 2 hour mark now. I think I've caught up with the chat. I'm gonna call it quits. I'm gonna give my wife the freedom of the living room back, because obviously it's not fair. And I think it's time for bed anyway, to be honest. So I'm going to call it a night there, guys. It's been a good show. Thank you for the donations. I appreciate it. That will probably come in handy, considering this video will likely not be monetized by the end of this. But I do appreciate all the support, guys, as always. I'll be back with more videos this week. I have a few things lined up to talk about. So I'm going to go back into some Aboriginal symbolism of Australia and the serpent creatures of the dream time, which is quite trippy. I talked about the one genus already, but there's some other stuff going on in that country which is really weird. So we're going to talk about some of them. I'm going to talk about some rock carvings and rock artwork as well, found all over the earth, which depict these entities. I found some fascinating stuff on that, which I want to share with all you guys. And what else have I got in the works? I've got a few things in the works. A few things. I've always got something going on. And like I said, there'll be plenty of more collaborations to come too, which we can all look forward to. Um, 9/11 has a building in the spot called the One World Trade Center. Exactly, I know, right? They're not very subtle anymore. Now we know their symbols. But yeah, guys, I hope you've enjoyed the show. I'm sorry about that poem. I really am. But you sometimes you just have to see how bad it truly is to understand. I'll try not to share anything so heinous ever again. But yeah, if you like what I do, consider supporting me on Patreon. Links down below. You can also support the book I'm writing on the Nephilim look like clowns by going to the GoFundMe. And I'll be back next week with another live, as always. Thanks for listening, guys, and as always, God bless.